project which is impacting millions of people, and you are working on that project. It's like that feeling. So
So, hi Ashutosh, thanks for joining me here. And I'm really excited to have this podcast with you. And I have been following you quite some time now. And if you remember, we talked on LinkedIn.
yeah, we had a discussion. Yes.
Yes. And I like to make podcast because we get to learn a lot of things from people's experiences, like how they have done, what they are doing, or what can we do, what we can learn from them, right? So that is the main idea behind it. So that's why I have been contacting people and recording these podcasts. So I start with can you share your journey with us, like how it all got started and from your college to whatever you are doing currently? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks for having me, and thanks for inviting me, because I too want to share my experience like with people, because sometimes like computer science and building the softwares are too much misunderstood by students who are just getting started.
Right.
So like when I got started, like when I entered into college as a BTech computer science student, I did not know anything about computers, like nothing about programming languages or anything like that. I studied like one programming language C in my intermediates, but that too I didn't understand. I just learned it just for clearing my exams
Yes.
purpose. And so I started like in a first semester, and our professor was quite good. So he like uh, made us interested into programming languages, and I started with C language. And then like I was doing like first couple of years, I was completely into competitive coding as usual, what Indian engineering students do. So if, I was doing that, and I was not very good in competitive coding, but the point is to do good in algorithms. So I with much competitive coding, you get good at building algorithms and do like building logics for the code that you write. So that helped me a lot, and I think after that I improved my coding skills as well as the logic building skills that we usually use as we code along, and that helps. And suddenly in third year of my college, I got into this thing, something as open source is there, which our professors told us, and I did not know anything about it. I just uh, understood that there is something open source, and some Google Summer of Code is related to that something, and with that you will have a great opportunity to learn, as well as you can build a good reputation in the community, in the software community.
Right.
So with that I started diving deeper into open source world. And then I understood that open source is like a great uh, thing. It is very misunderstood by college students. Why should I contribute to some project for free, or why should I contribute? It's a very good learning opportunity for students, and for students it's a like a greater investment of time. So that's why I started contributing to some of the open source projects, like uh, some of the machine learning frameworks like Keras and TensorFlow, and other Uber projects, and Gatsby and React, and all other projects. I started contributing small stuff. Started with contributing to documentation that I read, and after that
Right.
diving into the code and fixing small stuff. And then uh, after doing it for I think 8 to 9 months, and then I started building my own project. At that time I started learning web as well. So I started creating my own open source project. And then after 2 3 months I almost created it, and you might have heard about master portfolio. That is a
Yes.
portfolio
Yes.
template.
I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah that I've created. It was my first project on web, and it was my first open source project as well, and people liked it. And I'm quite I was like working with other people to get feedback about that. And then I got to know about the process, the complete process of project building, and how open source work, and how you can learn from other people, and how it open source drives the innovation. That's
Right.
what I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, like as you correctly said that to get started with open source, you don't need to actually know all the things, right? You can just start with few bug fixes and like even documentation also, right? So there
yeah,
is documentation. In the process, you get to learn about the project and you can actually contribute later. So yeah, that thing you correctly said that students misunderstand what open source is and they just don't want to. So take it like it as a like a marathon where you initially you are just learning and you are doing it for free, but if you are more and more into open source, you'll get to know about the benefits it has. And also like if you have contributed to like 3 4 projects, so it looks good on your CV also. So that's way you put a
absolutely. Yeah,
good repo of yourself in the community also, so that like you get all the eyeballs. And like if you have a good portfolio like where you have contributed to multiple open source projects, so it really brings out good a good in a way that like it will attract some viewers or even recruiters on your LinkedIn if you are using it correctly. So I just wanted to ask, like as you said that you did not know about computer science much while you joined the college, right? And like even I was like that because I did not have any prior experience with coding. So how hard is it to? I just want your experience here, like how hard is to get started from like non-CS background, or maybe like without knowing anything about coding, and then get started. And yeah. So what is your experience in that?
so in my opinion, it's not at all much difficult, because if you think about your college time is a 4 years long time, and it's a quite good amount of time to learn things which I've seen people like learning coding from scratch, and in the second year they start building projects and contributing. Like they are so much experienced in CS that they were not like thinking about it. So it's not
Right.
not at all tough, but I think you need to like work consistently for that.
Yeah.
So if you are like coding today and you are not working on like coding or your programming skills for the 1 week, then it will then you will feel difficulty for learning programming. But I think if you learn, let's say you have decided to code every day 1 hour, then I don't think you will get like you will feel that difficulty for programming, because it will come naturally within 1 or 2 months while you code, and you will start from something small, and then you will gradually learn to build something big.
Yeah. So I also think that like consistency is the key here. So like if you are doing it today and again doing 4 days later, so then like it breaks your consistency and you have to again go back to the first thing that you did, because you will have to retain that information. So
Yeah,
in my view also, like you have to do it daily even if it is for half an hour. But yeah, like so college, what I also think that college is the place where you can explore various things and then get to know about what do you actually want to do, right? So some people are very good at competitive coding, some people are very good at building things, some people are very good at like contributing to open source projects and all those things. But you have to explore those things to know actually about like what do you want to do, and for that you have to put in those efforts. So
yes,
that's what
yeah, yeah,
actually matters. So it does not
absolutely.
matter that like whether you have prior experience with coding or not. And also I wanted to ask is it difficult for, so I see that like a lot of guys from I hate to say this word, but from tier 3 colleges and tier 2 colleges, right? So they do not like they think that okay, I'm not from a very good college, so I cannot be placed in a very good company. And they fear these things that off campus will be too hard for them, or maybe they let their guards down very easily. So like what are your thoughts on that? Like how should one prepare, or how should change their mindset when they are not from a very good college?
Yeah, actually I experienced this thing like although I'm coming from triple IT background, but my college was very new, so we had an environment of the typical tier 3 college. So I have that experience, and I think, in my opinion, I think this in this way, that you are not just, you should not just think about your placements which are going to happen after 4 years of college. Instead, you should look into further deeper into your future, that how you are going to live your future with the current profession that you have. So this 4 years of time you spend in college, you should invest in things which will gain you more experience, which with which you can build things which can help people, let's say, in open source, or which can help you in growing in the industry or in learning things.
Yeah,
So in my opinion, you students should not think about placements as a hurdle. Like, they should not feel bad that I won't get placed. If you are working very hard, and you if you are working consistently, I don't think off campus placements are also will be a hurdle for you. The companies will find you if you are really working hard, and if you are really good at it.
yeah, yeah. That's what I also think, that if you have a very good profile, like you have been consistently doing what you are supposed to do, or what you like to do, whether it is competitive programming, whether it is open source, anything like, so that matters a lot. And if you are good, then I also think that it should not be any hurdle. And next thing I want to discuss, like, so what is what a person should be really good at? Like, is it competitive programming, or is it like building products, or doing like open source? Like, what in the long race, what actually benefits to a student? So what are your thoughts on that?
My thought is pretty much different from what I have heard about from other people. So what I'm thinking is, as a student's perspective, when you are in college, uh, in my opinion, you should not uh, be feel that this is what is in the trend. So I should learn. I should go for it. Instead, as you said, that we need to spend time on things which we want to explore. Let's say competitive coding or open source. We need to spend sufficient amount of time with those skills, or we need to spend time with those things, so that we can get understanding of whether I want to do that or not. So it's
Right,
not about that. Of course, like in the college time, you need to do competitive coding, because from that you will understand how algorithm works.
right,
You need to do open source contribution, because that is how you will learn things, what is going on in the industry and real time projects.
right,
So yeah, I think, in my opinion, you need to do all things in the balance, so that you will get experience of all, with all of them in small chunks, and with which you can proceed into whatever direction that you want to go go further.
right, right, right. So I think main thing is data structure and algorithms. So you need to
Yeah.
learn those.
Yes.
And on top of that, competitive programming. So you also need to explore that part also, because like that really helps you to think through how we can apply data structures and
Yeah.
algorithms, right? So for that part, for the application of them, for practicing them, to think like how to solve a given problem, I think they are necessary. But you can also go with the building part, so where you can build your own project, or you are just doing a contribution to open source. Like one thing I really like about open source, that you get to meet a lot of people, and
Yes.
you make good connections, and also like you get to understand how a product is built. So there are, like, apart from just coding part, you understand that there are a lot of different things in coding life cycle, right? So there are documentation also. You learn about how to deploy things, and all the other things that are associated with uh, contributing to the open source. So all those things are pretty necessary. You also get to know how we discuss problems, or what should we do when we hit a like bottleneck or something like that, right? So all those things are really important also. And it also brings out that what you have learned to application. So you apply whatever you have learned. So that is a very good part with real life examples, right? So that is
Yes.
a big part. So like on building on that, I would like to ask like what so suppose there is a fresher or there is a guy who is in college, so what should he do to get started with open source contribution? So what should he
Yeah.
do that so that he can get started with open source, or how should the student should go about things in open source?
Yeah. So actually, I've created a complete playlist on my YouTube channel. Like people can look at it. But
Yeah,
since
yeah.
I'll explain that. Uh, like open source project is like many people get disheartened by the volume they see. So let's say if you talk about an open source project, TensorFlow, it's a very big and complex project. How should I approach to any bug, or how should I even find a bug which can be solved as a beginner? So you don't need to find a bug. You start learning about that project. So like what if I am starting today, what I would do is I will just go and find open source projects that I want to work with in my domain. Let's say I am interested in machine learning, so I'll find a projects which are related to machine learning and which are open source. Then I'll go and take a look at their GitHub repository, and I'll start reading their documentation. And while reading their documentation, it is something that some of the documentation parts may have incomplete documentation. So start contributing with documentation. Like if you have read one part of documentation and you didn't get what it said, then start reading blogs about that and start watching YouTube videos. And when you get about a clear picture about that, uh, raise a pull request to that documentation to improve that documentation, to understand, so that somebody, if when somebody else comes to that documentation, that person will get benefit from it. And after that, when you do a ample amount of contributions to documentation, then you can start on to looking at the code perspective. And then you will be able to understand, okay, this code or this loop is doing this thing. Now how can I improve this? So then you can go and think about how to do that. And one of the best thing about open source is you will like a person will be able to learn 15 different types of like he will run writing a same function in 15 different ways. So with that you will like understand like how different things will be written in different way or in different situations. So that is what benefit, and that is how a student should approach in that way.
Yeah, yeah. Rightly said that there are a lot of projects out there, and you like rightly pointed that like students get like disheartened or scared to see the volume kind of volume that there is. But I think that you need to explore things as Ashutosh mentioned, and you need to see that whatever you get to understand, and like you should be very proactive in the field of open source. So you need to ask questions. Like there are various channels also for that particular project where you can just talk to people, ask about them, ask about any problems that they are having. So they will let you know about any bugs that a new guy can pick up. So
Yeah.
all those kind of things are there, and the open source community is very welcome. So yeah. And I would put like Ashutosh's YouTube that playlist in the description, so that you can go ahead and look at that, so that you'll get a clear picture of that. So now moving on, Ashutosh, like I really liked your that portfolio website. So like, and you also open sourced it and made it a project so that it can be customized according to one's needs. So like, give a brief description about that, and what was your motivation behind?
Yeah, so actually, I started in my last semester of college. Actually, we didn't have much classes, so I was pretty much in my room. So at that time, I was like working on machine learning. So this is what like I thought that this is what the field in which I wanted to go. But I had faced some difficulty in implementing machine learning models or machine learning model deployment to a website or an application. So at that time I thought that I should learn about full stack development, or at least a web development in a very at least at least I should be able to understand the code that a full stack developer has written, so that I can go and then proceed from there. So that was the like motivation behind it, that at least I want to just learn React JS and Node.js. So I started doing some courses on like from random YouTube videos, and I started learning React. And in the midway, I thought that why not to create something with while learning. So I started creating my website, and I like took reference, or I took inspiration from some of the open source portfolios that were already present at the time. At that time, I have mentioned in the project description as well. So, and then I like started building it and building small parts. One day I will like create some small box or some small component, and another day I will refine that and think about how this design will look. And with that, I dived into UI and UX design, and how UI UX works, and what is user experience, how user experience will impact the people.
Right.
So that is how I created it. And then like in time to time, like let's say I've released a portfolio, and then let's say you used it, then you had some problem customizing it, or you had some problem like while deploying it, then you will come back to me and raise an issue. With that, I got an idea or a feedback with how to proceed further and how to improve it. Then I improved it, and still I am improving it, and I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And after that, like I got pretty much like motivation to do more things. Then I released other two projects, like uh, awesome loaders and liquid swipe
Yeah.
on my GitHub. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I liked it. Like I saw it, and I quite liked it. So though I have not went much into detail about the project, but guys, I would put that link also. It's quite awesome. And if you want to learn something, so I have seen the code also, and it's quite like well written. So you can see that code, and you can get to learn from that project also, and you can have your own website also in the bean process. So yeah, that is a very good thing. And like you said about learning, so like how do you learn? Like what is your approach to learn? Like because there are a lot of things on the internet, right? So it becomes very hard to actually get a good content, or what should I learn, or what should I leave. It's like because there is too much information, so it's quite hard to actually get to learn a new thing. And actually to get start is the biggest thing. So
Biggest thing, yes.
how should you approach your learning?
So this is how I made the approach, because I have faced like this difficulty too much. Like how to get started. There is so much material available for free on the internet, that I'm many times I'm getting confused, like what to choose and what not to. So I've made this approach that I will think of a project in my mind that I want to build in the duration of my learning, and I will learn in that way. So whenever whatever material that I'm referring to, I will look at the like agendas, or I look at the index of what that material hold. And if whatever, I will only go on to those things which are related to that project that I'm thinking. So
Okay.
first of all, I'll think about the project that can hold that much amount of functionality or information with which I can learn about the technology in that to that extent. And
Right.
after that, I'll go and collect the details. Then I'll download them, or like collect them in bookmarks, and then I'll collect the information, I'll structure them, and then I'll start learning one by one. So the two advantages, the two advantages I get from that is, one thing is you learn it, but sometimes what happens is you just you are just watching a video, and after some time you feel bored about it. You feel bored about it, and you feel the context like I'm watching it, but I'm not doing anything. So I'm not getting the practical exposure from that video. So with that, this I'm watching it. After watching it, I'm applying it for the project that I'm building. And with that, my learning is increasing, because I'll get errors, and I'll go to Stack Overflow and here and there, and I'll like solve those problems. So
Yeah.
that is how that is the learning process. So learning a skill is not a big issue. You will find material, you will learn it. But when you face an error, then going into the bugs and everything and finding a solution and solving it, that is what makes your learning
Yeah.
curve more.
Yeah, so I think Ashutosh pointed out a very important point that building something while learning is a great way to learn. So, because you not only learn thing, you apply it, and when you are like stuck somewhere, then solving that particular problem, you go through different materials, different websites, and in the meantime, you learn a lot of things, not just about that particular thing that you were learning in the first place. So that is a very good point that whenever you are trying to learn something, start with a idea that what do you want to learn, and what is the application after you learn something. So with that in mind, it will be quite clear to you what do you exactly want to learn, and then start building something. So like it's always a good practice. So if you are learning any language or anything, any new thing, so it's good to have a project alongside like even if it is a very basic kind of project, very simple project. But
Work, yes.
if you are creating a project or while learning, then it's a very good thing. Now this learning part, so there are different so you were associated with different student programs also, right? So I just
Yes.
want to know that, or like let the audience know that how should they approach to that, or how would they find out that what are the student programs that are out there, or how to qualify for them, or how to get selected for those. So I would
Yeah.
like your thoughts on that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So actually, I was like part of a Google like developer students club in our college.
Right.
I was a Google Explore ML facilitator,
Right.
and also Microsoft student partner as well as Mozilla campus captain. So all these are open source communities. These are called open source communities, which work for like development of open source, as well as they work for teaching to students as well as like junior developers how to learn how to approach the like fields of computer science, like let's say machine learning. So as a Google Explore ML facilitator, my responsibility was to like spread the awareness about AI and machine learning to the students of our college and the colleges nearby. So with that, we were like organizing workshops and hands-on seminars and different kinds of cloud workshops and competitions and like online like seminars, debates, or something like that, those things. So we were organizing with that. Students will communicate with us. Students will get communicate like will get a chance to communicate with within themselves, and with that their knowledge will increase and they will get experience. And about applying them, all of these things, whether you talk about Google Explore ML, Microsoft Student Partner, Developer Student Club, or Mozilla Campus Captain, GitHub Campus Expert, there are plenty amount of open source communities available on the internet. You can go onto their website and you can just apply to it. But do not apply to these programs just to hold a good on your resume, but also to contribute into this communities, because this will give you a very good chance to learn new things and learn to actually organize things and learn to spread the things in a much more efficient way.
Yeah, yeah, right. So yeah, so don't just try to like apply to it or get selected for having them in resume. Just you you are contributing to the community and you get a huge exposure out of it. So I think Google ML they call a person to their site, I think, right? So
Yeah,
that
I went.
yeah.
I went there actually for
Uh-huh.
a. So actually, Google Explore ML Facilitators Summit happened in 2019 September. So we
Mhm.
went there and actually they explained everything about how this community works. So
Right.
how they benefit the students and how much students are benefited in the overall in the world. So this is how they proceed to like with the facilitators, and then they spread the awareness about the new technologies or new trending technologies.
Yes, yes. So yeah, so that's what, like, you get exposure. So I think when you are contributing in a good manner, then you will get those explore, you get to meet new people, and you get to learn from them, right? And that brings connections, which is a very important part in one's career, right? So
Yes.
my next question would be like, so how should so I actually am seeing, so I have been using LinkedIn like quite consistently for a year now. So I just want to add, like, how a student can leverage LinkedIn to get internships or job, because I know firsthand that LinkedIn is a very great application, or a
Place.
place
Yeah.
where you can meet new people, you can get jobs, you can get internships, you can talk about what you learn, you can talk about your achievements, all those things. So what are your thoughts on that, and how should a student approach LinkedIn to get something out of it?
Yeah, so I would say that LinkedIn is not just a place to find a like a your dream job, but it is also a like place where you can collaborate with people, or you can communicate with people to gain more knowledge, or to gain a
Right,
reference point. Let's say you want to learn about something and you don't know where to go and look for the information. You can
right,
go and find people who can give you that information. You can
right,
go and ask people that, hey, this is what I want to know. Can you point me to the right direction, or can you point me to the blog or video where can I
right,
find that? So that people helps you. And uh, apart from that, uh, whatever you are building, let's say you are building a project, post about it on LinkedIn. You are organizing workshops or competition at your college, post about that on the LinkedIn. And people see that, companies see that, and after that when you apply to the job, they have this data with them, and they see that this person is very active on the community. So let's like in the previous question you asked how these applications get selected. So companies see these things, that this person is active in this community, how much open source contributions are you making. So those things matters. And after that, when you post about it on LinkedIn, people see that, and that is what makes your reputation into open source communities as well as software development communities.
right. So LinkedIn is a great place to be, where you can meet new people, learn from them, learn from their experiences, you can share your experiences. And all these things should not be that, okay, I want this job, that's why I'm doing something. It should be like that you're just talking to a bunch of other guys who have same
Yeah,
kind of interest that you have, right? And then you're just sharing your experience. And
absolutely.
now
Yes.
we are coming to the end part of our discussion. So I would like to ask, so what should a college student do to like any ifs and buts, or any from your experience, what would you suggest to a college student who is there in college and who wants to do good in their career later?
Yeah. So I would suggest first to build your logic building experience, do computer programming, whether you like it or not. But just do like in if you don't want to do like whole day, do at least some hours of the day in the early years of your college. It will give you experience how to think about a problem, and how to implement the solution in your program. So it will help you in that way. After that, when you get some experience in how to code, and you have learned one or two languages, programming languages, I would suggest you I would suggest students to learn at least two programming languages. Although, like people say that one programming language is enough, but I would suggest if you are want to contribute to something, at least learn two languages, whatever whichever languages you like. That is not a problem, but at least learn two languages. And after that, open source must be students must approach open source, because open source is like kind of you are working in you are working in a company from a college. It's like that you are working on a open a project which is impacting millions of people, and you are working on that project. It's like that feeling. So students should contribute to open source, and it will give them so much of exposure as well as knowledge. And apart from that, they also should need to involve themselves into these kinds of open source communities, which help other people's or other people or other students to evolve in the technology. And they should also try building their own things or own projects with the help of open source, as well as with the help of their native communities in the college or around the college.
Right, right.
Yep.
So as you correctly pointed out, like do learn first data structure and algorithms because like it is very important. And competitive
Yeah.
programming is a way of like what it is a way of doing things like what you have learned. Like if you have learned
Yeah.
data structure and algorithms, so you get to learn how to apply those things like in scenarios, in real life
Yes.
scenarios. So competitive programming is like that. It improves your problem solving skills, which is the most crucial part, because you need
Crucial
to
part.
have
Yes.
good problem solving skills, because you will be having so many problems to solve in your career in the coming future. So like that builds your problem solving skills. And along with that, you also need to work on projects. You need to work on open source, or if you are working on your own project, that is also fine. But you should be like aware of the software development life cycle, like how a particular project is built, what
Yes.
is the challenges that are faced by that, and if you face any challenges, what do you need to do, how do you solve it, how do you collaborate with people. So all these kind of things are quite important. And yeah, like explore as much as you can, and then hold on to things that interest you, so that you can go deep into that, and then you can build good skills, and then have a good career. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
yeah. So
I agree
these
with
were
that.
the thoughts that I have. So yeah, thanks Ashutosh for joining me here. It was great
Thank
talking
you
to
so
you.
much. Thank you
And
so
like,
much for having me, and great talking to you as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was quite fun, and like you shared your experiences. I think it will be great for all the students out there, and people will learn a lot from you. So yeah, I am hoping that this will have good impact on students. So let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Cheers,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Bye.